Hello, and welcome to day 3 of my life in 11 languages. Today I'm going to tell you how I ended up coming to Japan. I think it makes more sense to start with the how rather than the why, because the reasons are more personal. And we'll talk about that later. And this first part might give some clues to people who dream of working in Japan one day. But before we begin, I want to thank my 19 subscribers. I started this channel very recently, and I'm really happy to see that people are already interested in this project. So thank you so much. To understand this story, we need to go back a few years. At the time, I was a student at Bordeaux University 3. I was studying art history, archaeology, English, Spanish, and Japanese. Japanese fascinated me, but I never imagined I actually could live in Japan one day. It felt very far away, almost unreachable. I had never left France. I was only 22 years old, and honestly, I wasn't the most brilliant student in the group. But I kept going, and most importantly, I didn't give up, even when many others did. One day, during my third year, a friend heard about the JET program. The JET program, the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, is an official program run by the Japanese government that allows foreigners to work in Japan while promoting cultural exchange and language education. It has existed since 1987, and every year, thousands of participants work in schools, city halls, and local communities. At that time, there were mainly two types of positions. ALT, Assistant Language Teacher, working in schools alongside Japanese teachers, preparing activities and taking part into school life. And CIR, Coordinator for International Relations, which is what I did. Translation, interpretation, organizing events, international exchange. And usually, a good level of Japanese is required. To participate, you need a university degree, good language skills, and an interest in cultural exchange. For many people, it's a gateway to living in Japan, and a lot of participants end up staying. That's what happened to me too. But that will be a story for another video. Back to the story. My friend wondered if he should apply, but someone immediately told him it was pointless. Why? Because at that time, there were few applications for French participants, maybe 5 or 10. And people believed that only students from Langzhou were selected. Langzhou is the nickname for INALCO in Paris, the National Institute for Oriental Languages and Civilizations, a very famous school for Asian language studies. So my friend gave up on the idea right away. Me, I hate defeatism. So I simply said, why? They learn Japanese there? And what about us? Are we learning some kind of inferior version? Everyone laughed, but I decided to try anyway. I sent my application, and there I was, on a 4-hour train ride to Paris, going to an interview at the Japanese embassy, conducted in French, English, and Japanese. I'll talk about that interview and what happened next in another video. Apparently, I already have plenty of topics for future videos. And then a few months later, I received a positive answer. I had been accepted to go to Okinawa. And suddenly, everyone started asking me, how did you do it? The answer is simple. I tried, without overthinking it, just by being myself. And I became the first student from Bordeaux to join the JET program. After I left, the Japanese embassy started to open the program to more universities, and seminars were even organized in Bordeaux. So what's the lesson here? Don't always listen to people who tell you that something is impossible. Often, they're just limited by their own fears. If you think you can do it, try. Maybe you fail, but at least you tried. So that's it for day 3. If this story speaks to you, tell me in the comments. Have you ever hesitated to do something because others said it was impossible? And if you're interested in Japan or the JET program, let me know too. I can talk more about it in future videos. See you tomorrow for day 4.